Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 98 of Scion of the Dark House, a Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition Gothic horror podcast. Because this is a Gothic horror podcast, there may be some things that come up to a line for some people, such as body horror, blood and gore, violence, talk about abuse and trauma, child endangerment, and other such things. If these things come up to a line for you, please take a break. Your support means a lot to us, but so does your mental health. So when we last left off the party, you all had been traveling, going to the village of Bourges in Calibun. You all had discovered one of the gigantic worms that had attacked you all, summoned from the world of Atrapas, the world born dead by Oscar. This one was dead, but being feasted on by cultists, except one of them bore a familiar face. It seems that a previous acquaintance of the group had been working with stuff that she had obtained of Percy to create a horrible and unnatural, aberrant copy of him. It did not withstand the group's onslaught against it, and they killed it. Later that evening, they found a magic turtle with a tavern on its back run by a hobgoblin. After some speaking with the hobgoblin, they found the hobgoblin was actually an Eladrin prince who had been cursed and could only be broken with true love's kiss. After many attempts by many different parties, the curse was finally broken after a short conversation in the wagon between Arthur and Tig, where the curse was broken, but a rift appeared in reality and a big claw grabbed him and pulled him back, apparently to the long-lost realm of Riverbend, of which he was the prince. After confirming with the Queen of Air and Darkness, Queen Mab herself, that Riverbend had been missing for about 75 years already at that point, the group decided to have a long rest. And so, we start at the beginning of the day. The sun has risen, and you all are ready to make your way across the final few stretches of the journey. What are you all currently doing?
Where are we going again?
Oh god, I forget what it's called. the town that the lich is from.
Oh, right. Call the shaman.
Not him, the priest, the saint.
Priest guy, Basilica. Basilica is the name of the place. St.
We're
Pelias.
going there. St. Pelias. There
That's
it
the
is.
guy. There we go. Got
We're
it.
going to his house.
Murder in other people's houses. Got it.
I mean, you're not unfamiliar with murdering in other people's houses, so
Well, I don't do it in my
you got this on lock.
Like, that would just, you don't shit where you eat. It's just weird. Where did we end up staying? Y'all stayed in the tavern. I stayed in the wagon, right?
Well, the tavern disappeared.
Oh, right.
So you all camped out in the field.
No,
Percy put up the camp.
the cathedral.
Yeah, Percy's
Oh,
got
yeah.
that cathedral.
Oh yeah,
Pocket cathedral.
just like randomly summons a whole ass building. Like, okay, that's fantastic.
Also, fun fact, if you summon that in the same spot every day for a year, it becomes
It's
permanent.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, chill. Okay.
That's fun.
Well,
I'm just gonna start putting cathedrals in random places.
Yeah.
Making them
Your
permanent.
life's goal. Just walking into the woods and leaving a cathedral.
I mean, I think you could like technically leave a trail of them for a while because like
Yeah.
it's gonna last 24 hours every time you cast it, doesn't it?
Yes.
So
Trail of breadcrumbs.
in case we need to get back from Basilica, a trail of cathedrals.
I'll be packing up my junk.
Yeah,
I'll be in the cathedral kitchen because I can make it whatever kind of space I want it to be. So there's gonna be like bedrooms and a kitchen.
does the kitchen have food?
Yes.
Let me check. I think
If it
Does
does,
it?
that's also where Arthur is. If not, then he's drinking on his way to tend to the horses.
I actually don't think it does. I think it is literally just a building.
Like, can I get some
It
porridge or
doesn't say anything about food.
turkey jerky?
Then you can't.
So it has a kitchen.
But you need to have provided your own food,
All right. Well,
sadly.
can I like go shoot a quail for breakfast or something? Did we buy food?
Don't we also have just a cauldron that makes whatever soup you want by dumping
Bring
water in
that
it?
with
Well, it
us?
was it's a 50-pound cauldron. Do you want to drag that 50-pound cauldron everywhere you go? And it won't fit in the bag of holding.
Didn't we leave it somewhere?
You left it at Percy's parents' house.
So
They have a bucket of unlimited soup, but
I'd go shoot us a couple birds or something.
yeah, you totally can do that. So you have a nice, lovely quail and quail egg breakfast.
Delightful. Carriage time. Jazz gets all whatever. I'll give her thing.
Catnipped up.
And everybody got all their spell slots and everything back.
Yep.
Max HP.
Make sure I clean up my sheet.
Oh shoot, I can't change his thing. I'll just have to remember he's max HP.
All right. So you all hop in your covered wagon, having recovered somewhat from the interesting night that you had before.
I want to smoke that animal pipe a little bit, just for funsies.
The pipe of smoke monsters that we forgot about for like 60 episodes.
Totally. Just
All right. Trudging down the road, leaving little tiny clouds of monsters floating in the air as you go.
Gandalf style.
Very much Gandalf style. You all make it to the edge of what on the map that Belladonna showed you was a documented battlefield. This was one of the historic battlefields that was important to the joining together of Gothia. As far as your recollections of history go, those of you who are in fact Gothian, it is almost completely mist covered, and it's not just morning mist. It seems to have an unnaturally thick quality to it, rolling at a speed slightly faster than the wind and not in the same direction as the wind.
Primeval awareness?
It seems there are quite a lot of minor, tiny undead presences. I will also say that they are, because I believe you can sense how fast they're moving in the direction they're moving and things of that nature.
Yeah.
They're almost flicking and zipping around erratically. They're also very small.
Like nearby?
Not nearby, quite a ways away. There's clusters here and there. But they're very small and they're very fast, and they seem to zip around in kind of an area, not really moving from that spot.
And you said there's like several clusters of these things around?
There are several clusters of these things, yes.
So, haunted battlefield?
Weird. Like, okay, when you say like not really close, are you talking like 2 miles or like 200 yards?
Both. A little bit of both.
Oh, fair. Okay. So I don't know. Maybe Arthur and Jazz, I guess, just for flavor, both kind of weirdly sniffing, like.
Yeah, if you'd like to make like a nature check,
Sure.
you can.
I mean, I get plus a whole lot of nothing, but we'll see what happens. That's a 3.
I mean, you feel like you know what these things are, but it's not quite coming to your brain as you're kind of scrolling through lists of undead. But I mean, you feel like you might know what it is, but you haven't encountered it before. This feels like something you've read about or have heard about, but have never seen.
Like, what's his name? My dearly departed adopted father may have taught me, you know,
Sure,
that guy that I cared a lot about.
that was totally in your backstory.
Yeah. um, okay, so I don't know. I guess I'll like just share with the group. So there's like you said they were undead, right? It was
Yes,
undead.
they're undead.
We've stumbled into some weird, I don't know, undead situation. It's like a whole bunch of hordes of tiny, quickly moving creatures. I can't quite put my finger on. I remember their name.
If either of you would like to make a nature check, Percy and Lark, Rerek probably won't know. I'll just say that, knowing that he's in the cart too.
The let's do that's a 15 from Percy.
15.
Ooh, excuse me.
And then Lark,
4.
4. This
Crushed.
doesn't really ring a bell to you, Lark, for some reason. But Percy, thinking about some of the undead that you may have learned about in school, um, surrounding like classes around defense from the undead or things like that, which clerics would have a little bit of knowledge about. Haunted battlefield, tiny creatures zipping around really fast. There's only one thing it could be: will-o'-the-wisps. This battlefield is probably covered in will-o'-the-wisps.
Got it. I mean, I don't got it.
It's covered.
Your
with
mic
wisps.
has it's hard to hear you, Percy.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, your mic is doing something.
That's all we got.
Uh-oh. Let me see.
You're
Yeah.
very quiet.
Like,
Technical difficulties. It's part of the stream.
it's like Charlie Brown's mom in a tin can.
Better?
No.
Yeah. I don't know what to do to fix that.
Okay, now it's better.
That's better, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So what was it that you were saying?
That was I communicated. The field is full of will-o'-the-wisps.
Oh, will-o'-the-wisps. That's what they were. Always got those confused with willow trees. Would I now remember that they are pretty harmless?
I mean, if not provoked,
Fair enough. So,
especially in packs, and they do have the ability to drain a bit of life out of you. But if you don't go meddling in their shit, they probably won't attack you.
so call it a protection from evil and good and gaily forward.
Probably. As you all travel on to the battlefield, you notice that the fog sometimes banks up and takes the shape of warriors marching or dragging their swords behind them in vicious defeat. It happens all over the battlefield. You come to a bend in the road, and in that bend is a mound of stones. What's everyone's passive perception?
18.
18.
20.
14.
Did you say?
Okay. Yeah, I think I heard 20.
Yeah, 20.
Damn.
Well, he is a cleric.
Wisdom boy.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Convenient. So Lark, it does take you a little longer to notice this, but as you all are pulling up, at first it looks like just a mound of rubble, a mound of rocks. But you see carvings on these rocks, old Gothian carvings on them. Some of them have faces, some of them have runes on them. It was clearly a monument of some kind, but it's been completely and utterly knocked over.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Interesting. I don't know that like Arthur would anything in particular about that. Just like, statue knocked down, sad, you know.
Guess could Percy roll a history or religion or whatever this thing looks like it would be for?
Sure. Let's do history.
It's gonna be history. That's gonna be a 27.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Looking at this and looking at kind of the arrangement that the stones are in, even though they're knocked down, it was clearly some kind of a small henge or outdoor altar of some kind. You also, with your 20 passive perception, just kind of looking over and picking up little things, these were all the faces represent various different tribes. There were 15 tribes that lived in the lands of Gothia. You don't quite remember their names, but of course, having to learn history as part of your religious training, they, of course, were all gathered up under King Gothric. There were old images of King Gothric everywhere. With your perception, I'm just going to give it to you, and also with your 27 history check, you notice a particularly large stone that's larger than the rest of these stones. There are two figures on this stone, and both of them look like old depictions of King Gothric, but there's two of them standing right next to each other. You do not remember hearing anything about any other family members of King Gothric.
It looks like there's two King Gothrics standing next to each other.
Yeah.
Strange.
That's weird, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, we know at least a little bit that King Gothric was well involved in some strange things, given that he was buried in the Feywild and turned into Lark.
Not just me.
I sort of forgot about that bit.
Yeah.
Um,
Sometimes I forget about that too, and then I remember it and get upset.
Oh, thanks, Percy. I'm gonna go land on top of it.
All right.
Okay.
You land on top of the stone. It is a stone.
Okay.
There are words on this stone.
Can I read them or no?
Yeah.
It is in a very old form of common. So you actually can. And it simply reads War Chief Gothric and War Chief Doric of the, and then the stone is broken.
Hmm.
So they twins. I mean, what's it say?
Apparently, there were two of them. They were war chiefs. One was Gothic and one was Doric.
See what you did there?
Did they did they have a brother?
Was his name Ionic?
Named
No, there seems to only be two of them. Art history
Thank you.
jokes.
so much. Oh god, I laughed at that way too hard. Um. Anyway, okay, yeah, I definitely don't remember anybody saying anything about a Dorian or whatever.
No,
Hmm.
definitely not.
I will say most of your history classes, Percy, kind of started after King Gothric took the throne with kind of there were 15 tribes, civil war broke out, King Gothric did a lot of stuff, and then
Bam.
crown, throne, start of class.
Yeah.
Because there was not a lot of history that survived the Civil War. There were not a lot of histories that were written down before the Civil War. It was mostly just tribes living their own lives in the lands that would become Gothia. And so a lot of Gothian history classes skip straight to the start of Gothia when King Gothric sits on his throne for the first time. And that's kind of where all the classes start, with that tiny bit of prefix just slapped on top. So this is pre your Gothian history classes. It's acknowledged, but it isn't talked about a lot.
Yeah, I guess I'll just be like, well, I suppose it's not unheard of to think of that. There's a lot of the history of our world before Gothia that we don't really know. So maybe Gothric did have a brother.
Suppose people have always been stupid.
That also.
Might have just wrote it down wrong.
I mean, that's given for your kind. Lark's kind of just sitting there, chilling, vibing. I'm gonna, I don't know. Are any of the like wisps or anything doing anything weird around us while we're at this big old rock?
You actually don't see any wisps near this monument. You might be able to see a few over in some of the tree lines of the copses of trees that are scattered around this gigantic flat battlefield. Um, just kind of distant lights flickering for a moment before going out. But they aren't doing anything weird. They aren't advancing on you. The mist is still making soldiers, but they seem to be moving in the same direction as the mist before collapsing in on themselves.
Could I fish the crown out of the bag of holding?
Oh yeah, you do have the crown, don't you? You never returned it.
No,
I
that's
think
my
that Percy
crown.
made a mental note to give it to a museum at some point.
We just,
Hasn't yet.
yeah.
Yeah, you fish out the crown. It's not the same crown. You get the sense that this crown was the crown that he wore when he was king of Gothia rather than the crown he wore when he was war chief. It seems the war chief crown is literally just a band of some kind of metal that goes around the head with maybe an adornment or two on it, but it's real simple.
Got it.
Oh, I was just doing it to check and see if anything weird happened, but I guess
Oh,
not.
no, nothing happens. You just
Okay.
pull out the crown and it's sitting there in your hands.
Yeah. Lark's just gonna hold it and be like, I wonder what he did to get this in the end.
I mean, probably murder. It's
Yes.
usually
We haven't ever heard about a brother, so I'm guessing something.
oh, murder.
He murdered. Do we think he murdered his own brother?
But who's to say? This all happened so long ago.
Hmm.
That's reprehensible.
It would explain how his body ended up creating. Well,
He did supply an awful lot of regret, didn't he?
I mean, he supplied enough regret to create 4 entities out of it.
That was gotta be something there.
Mm.
I do wonder about that.
Well,
I mean, unless any of you want to,
it's been an interesting history lesson, I guess.
or knock it down just for fun, then I guess just.
Do we think it's we don't suppose that this is like a grave, do we?
Doesn't look like a grave, does it?
Looks more like a monument, like there would have been 15 stones standing around.
Okay.
Right.
With the names of all of the war chiefs or lords of each of the 15 tribes of Gothia, this
How is
being one
this-
of them.
How is this not talked about more?
Because you humans manipulate your history to whatever's the most convenient for the winners.
Oh, yeah, okay. Let the fairy call the kettle manipulative.
We don't hide our histories. You just have to do a little bit of digging to find them in some instances.
Yeah, it wasn't the point. Anywho, what are you gonna like decorate that thing or something, or what are you doing over there?
I don't really know. You think I'd feel something running into something that reminds me of my dead flower daddy, but
All you feel is cold on your butt?
pretty much. I mean, if he's a kinslayer, he's even worse than I imagined he would be.
Did you imagine he was very well to begin with?
No, though it is entertaining to think how far into depravity that the founder of your very nation fell to, Percy.
I think maybe we just best gotta move on. It's a long journey.
Yeah,
I'm gonna throw a few seeds around it and then fly back over.
As the seeds hit the ground,
damn it.
they just sprout almost instantly. It's not even like they grow and bloom and blossom. It's almost like a jack in the box, just
Oh,
That was aggressive.
I didn't even cast any spells on them when I threw them.
Are you just happy to see me?
There's no like other fairies flying out of them at this point, are there?
no.
Okay.
They aren't growing to the size in which fairies would be able to come out of them. They're, more like it's taken root in the Feywild, but it's not going to produce another fairy.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just be like, oh. Well, I mean, I suppose haunted battlefield and
Yeah,
this.
sort of makes sense. Those aren't gonna like crap out a sister or something, are they?
I mean, it wouldn't be a sister at this point. She didn't bloom from the same flower I did.
Yeah,
this
cousin.
And there's just
cousin.
they're not big enough. And don't worry, cousins, we kill each other all the time.
Oh, how
Good to know.
reassuring.
I mean, it's a fey world in the garden, literally.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that. So, are you gonna get back in the carriage or?
I'll just land back on top of it.
All right.
Gee up.
All right. So as you clip clop along down the road, you begin to see more and more of these soldiers, and sometimes they actually, almost in slow motion, begin to clash, fighting, their swords soundlessly crashing off of each other, off of shields, some of them getting cut down in utter silence, falling in slow motion into the mist. You get to a point in which the mist is incredibly thick over the battlefield, and forming are two people. One that looks like the form of King Gothric or King Doric, one of them, with another man. The two are walking side by side and they seem to be conversing with one another. Then a third figure joins them. Another King Doric, or is it King Gothric? The three of them begin conversing with one another until the third man, dressed in almost something that reminds you of Lockjaw fashion, the hat with a lot of fur on it, lots of fur and heavy coats. He clearly says something that offends one of the kings. The two kings begin yelling at each other, pointing at the third man. The third man, at one point, almost seems to jump back, astonished by what one of them said, and begins to inch closer to the other one. The king, who was yelling the most, pointing erratically, grabs at the man's waist and pulls out a sword, driving it straight into the other Gothric, Doric, plunging it deep into his heart. The man falls over. The third man begins to run, but King Gothric draws his own sword and slices off his head before angrily smashing the sword into this man's mist body that seemed to have just completely at this point formed into the mist before he points his sword forward and bellows soundlessly. At this point, there's a tidal wave of mist soldiers that begin charging. The two sides clash together. Many different soldiers, obviously from many different tribes, some having racks of antlers, some having the tall hats, others carrying spears and bows. You can almost pick out each of the different 15 tribes if you really look for them, all fighting amongst one another. And it is that way until you pass the battlefield. And you look back as the sun begins to set. This battlefield having taken a whole day to cross. It's that big. And the mist is just mist. It's probably around 6:30 in the evening as you all are continuing down the road.
After we exit the battlefield, Lark's just like just starts slow clapping on the roof.
I guess.
Now that's entertainment.
Was that wasn't a ghost. It was. That was just weird.
I mean, was it really though?
I mean,
You saw what happened when I threw a few seeds at the memorial. They blossomed like that. That whole place is saturated with lingering emotions, regrets, and will-o-wisps, which I don't really know what those are particularly, but presumably tied to the dead, some type of undead, as you mentioned.
true.
It's overwhelming with it.
All I can say is I've never seen anything like that before. And I'd rather not again, but definitely did call the murder of the brother thing.
Oh, yes, yes. I mean, I would give it 4 stars if I could in a review.
I mean,
Really get the academy out here to take a look at this or something. It's just historians would love to take notes.
yeah, where are we anyway?
On the road.
Yep, on the road. Gothia has a lot of wide open space, apparently. Not a lot of civilization except for the cities. But yeah, you all keep trudging on until night finally falls. And you are trudging along in the dark.
Lovely.
I will let you all figure out what you are doing, if you're going to continue through the night or if you're going to camp. I will let you all decide.
Do we wanna camp? For the
I mean, Percy, do you want to make a cathedral?
Yeah, is there a reason for us to go through the night? Or
I mean, not in particular.
this is what, our second day of travel out of 3 or something?
Yeah.
Or
We can travel all day.
I'll pop up the camp in the middle of this haunted battlefield.
Or we're outside of the haunted battlefield
Well,
now?
Well,
just outside of the haunted battlefield.
sounds lovely.
I say a little prayer and then poof, a giant cathedral pops up.
The lovely
You're warning-
lights of the cathedral spilling out from the stained glass windows as it appears from the darkness.
So creepy.
You're warding it against undead, right?
Of course, I'm warning it against everything. I would be warning it against fairies if you weren't here.
I mean, have I really given you such a bad opinion of my people, Percy?
Yes.
You might
100%.
reconsider warning it against fairies anyway. I'm just not.
You wound me. We've done nothing but help you in your quest.
I
Mhm.
wouldn't say that. There's been quite a few fairies who've tried to kill us.
Do we remember Samantha?
I mean, yes, but in the end, she just furthered the cause.
Did she?
I wouldn't call that helping.
No, not really. But that's some hell of a spin. I gotta give you credit.
You just need to change your perspective a little.
Mhm.
Samantha wound up allowing me to ascend to a level of power I'd never touched before, and vis-a-vis help you further. Little tit for tat. You
Sure.
scratch my back, I scratch yours.
Yeah, all right. I'm gonna go to bed. So, yeah.
The night goes by undisturbed. No terrifying dreams, only relatively normal ones. And you wake up in the morning. The sun, or at least what counts as the sun in Gothia, not really streaming, more of diffusing through the stained glass windows
That
of the
is-
cathedral. And it is now morning. You have all had a long rest.
Oh my word. Are we there yet? Mm.
We've, what, another day's travel to go? How long is it supposed to
Around.
Hey, right? Yeah.
Did this asshole have to build?
Percy's in the main chamber of the cathedral, saying a prayer. Because today he's gonna meet Saint Hypatia again in person. Probably assuming today, whenever we get there.
Relatively
Um,
today.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
Is this the day that she actually does something, Percy?
Oh,
he's done quite a few things already, but yes, we should be uh meeting my benevolent goddess or saint. Do we call them gods?
They're
No, we
saints.
don't.
The gods exist, but you don't pray to them. It's an intercessory religion is what you're a part of. Rerek is part of the ones that still worship the old gods, whereas you are part of an intercessory faith.
Well,
Yes, I remember the definition of benevolence includes smiting non-believers with lightning bolts, right? Didn't I think the last time I saw her, she said she was going to start doing that.
I would argue in some cases that is benevolent towards us.
Ah, yes, because the people who don't agree with your beliefs deserve to die.
Sometimes, yes.
well,
Especially when those beliefs are destroy the whole world. That's something I personally stand against.
well, yeah, okay. You've both got
We gonna
really.
move on?
Can we fight nice now?
Oh, come on, Arthur.
Come on, Arthur, me. Come help me hitch up the horses.
So you all get back on the road, probably around 9 in the morning. And as you continue along the road, the air almost changes. As you continue through the woods, you notice there's an increase in flowers. The leaves are turning a little more green. Until finally, maybe around 1 o'clock, you crest a hill. It was a very large hill that you all have crested, almost what one might consider a small mountain. Over the border, apparently, because as you come around the bend, there is a blue sky. The clouds end, not quite in a hard line, but the clouds end. The air is sweet and floral. Stretching before you is a beautiful countryside, dotted with villages and windmills, fields of wheat and flowers. babbling brooks and tiny little bridges crossing them, a beautiful rural community at the very edge of Calibun. You are no longer in Gothia. As you cross the border, there almost seems to be something lifted from your shoulders as if Gothia weighs down upon you, but Calibun does not have this weight.
Hmm.
And you descend into the valley below.
I just assumed when we've been traveling mostly by magic across. Does the mortal plane have domains as well?
Apparently.
That
The air tastes weird here.
there's flowers and light and I mean, I'm just Gothia. Is it Percy? Is your whole country cursed?
Probably. For all I know, at this point, I think everything's probably cursed at this point.
You know it's not cursed. The Feywild. Well, not all of it, just parts of it.
So
Right.
exactly the same then.
Yeah.
Or is my math off?
Don't know. It is strange though.
So, does anybody know which way we're supposed to be going?
To the town?
I mean, I guess, okay, sure.
Do we just kind of go there and ask, oh hey, we're looking for the town founded by a heretic. Is this the place?
Yeah, right.
You got that good heretical belief here?
Hmm,
You would remember that the village that this cathedral sits near is known as Bourges.
right.
Hmm.
So you guys want to get a beer?
I think you're the only one of us that drinks, Arthur.
Um, okay, so they only let you order one at a time.
Right. Well, I think I might do some looking around the church for starters.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a good. Let's do that. Yeah, yep.
So you all haven't made it to a town yet. You
Oh.
have just crossed the border.
Cool.
And you are descending into the valley as you are clip-clopping down the road. You pass by a couple of small fields that are fenced off. One of them has vines growing across it. It seems to be the start of maybe a gourd plot or a pumpkin plot. You can't quite tell, but there's a little bit of a wheat field. And you notice in the wheat field, there are people almost, but they seem to be made of wheat, not tied together, floating together, the wheat actively swimming in hypnotic patterns as they've joined hands. There's about 6 of them, and they dance in a circle. A strange music emanates from them, a flute and drum and tambourine. Lark, you would recognize these creatures. They're known as Alseed. They are elemental spirits that sometimes pop up in the Feywild because of the propensity of meadows and flower fields and other things like that. They are the protector of fields, similar to dryads.
Oh.
And they are dancing in a field.
Well, I haven't seen one of those in a while.
They are very secretive. They do tend to shy away from powerful Fey. But these just seem to be dancing out in the open.
I'm gonna call over to them in Sylvan.
The music kind of stops and they turn. They don't say anything. They just turn into chaffs of wheat that blow away in the wind.
Oh,
Oh.
I guess they're shy.
Bye.
Bye, Felicia.
I mean, it's probably a good sign that they live in the fields here. We haven't really been running into many things in the way of nature, spirits, and fae back where you're from.
Is that normal?
For them to vanish like that?
No, for them to be here in the first place.
I mean, they are guardians of nature, protectors of sacred spaces, or at least areas can they consider sacred of nature. They're like fields.
So it's weird that we've never seen anything like that before in Gothia.
I mean, have you been in Gothia?
Yes? I mean, yeah.
Does it have fields like this? Its
Fair.
fields are full of dead people. Literally.
Okay.
And fiery
Don't get one of
hellboys.
those.
Jeez.
We get it. They're protectors of pretty fields, all right.
Dang.
I mean, I'm just saying this. Oh, doesn't surprise me, but does slightly surprise me. Why would they be here instead of? I don't know.
Love. Where?
The Feywild.
I don't know. Didn't you say they like pretty fields? This is a pretty enough field.
That's fair. Lark's just gonna mage hand like a stalk of wheat out of the field real quick.
Yeah, this is a very healthy crop of wheat. It's also very golden. Not like shimmering gold, but when you hear the phrase like fields of gold, this is what you think of, not the gray, thin crop from Gothia, but this. A very healthy head, very fat, sort of seeds within the head, a very healthy stalk, a very beautiful yellow color.
Yeah, that's definitely
Like,
back home.
yes, this is far different than the fair we've seen back there.
Makes me miss the gruel.
Ah, yes, the drab, dreary lands of Gothia. How we miss them so.
It's so bright here.
The only country whose national anthem is in a minor key.
True. So as you continue along the road, you see a small boy, no older than about maybe 13, walking along the road with a walking stick, and flying next to him is a pixie. Just flying next to him. As your cart pulls up, he turns and simply waves to you and continues walking.
Okay, I'm gonna try to talk to the pixie. In Sylvan, I'm just gonna be like, hello?
Oh, it's lovely to meet another one of you.
What now?
What? Another one of who?
Well, more fairies. I know we're common here, but I've never seen one like you before. You're a very pretty purple.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Um,
Lark's
You
just
can
gonna
call
check
me
in his head.
Tulip Dew.
Sorry, what was that?
You can call me Tulip Dew.
Tulip Dew.
What can I
Wonderful.
call you?
They call me Lark around these parts, I suppose.
I don't call you anything random person. Can't understand it. It's talking to self.
Right. This conversation is happening in Sylvan.
What, Tulip Dew, what brings you about these parts? I saw some owl seed earlier, too.
Yes, they love our fields.
Are there many fae around?
Oh, yes. Dryads, Owlseed, fairy dragons, naiads, nereids, sylphs, all kinds of fairies.
Where are we exactly, Tulip Dew?
You're in Calibun.
Oh, which part of Calibun, darling?
Oh, well, it's the border closest to Gothia.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. What's the name of that little hamlet we're moving towards?
Oh, that's Soleil.
Oh, fascinating. And where, back in common, what are we looking for, boys?
Bourges.
Oh, back in Sylvan. Do you know what the village of Bourges is, Tulip do?
And she just vanishes.
Yep.
The boy stops and he turns and just, what did you say you were looking for?
I don't need a translator for that. Bourges?
I'm sorry, I can't help you. And he literally vaults over the fence into the field and just starts running.
Oh, goodness.
Well, this is going to be more difficult than I thought. All right.
Apparently, there's a lot of fae around this part of Calibun, but
Yeah, which one of them's not a pussy? I
I
mean,
mean, we can see what we can dig up.
because the Alcide ran, and the Pixie ran, and that kid just ran when we mentioned what.
People seem more scared of Bourges than they do of my house.
Yeah, that's kind of fair, actually.
Well, we also didn't walk in here and mention, oh, hey, man owns the haunted mansion a country over.
Well, no, I think he meant the people here seem more afraid of Bourges than the people there are afraid of
Yeah.
Oh.
house. Silly goose.
I mean, maybe it's just the proximity of them living in a cursed country that they don't care as much about curses.
Do we need help finding Bourges? Do we have a map with Bourges on it? Or is it like a mystery where it is?
You do have a map, but it's kind of vague.
I
It's
mean,
just like it's over there somewhere in this general area.
I was gonna say, wasn't it hand drawn by nope.
It was not hand drawn. However, it seems that Bourges is not technically on the map. It was added to the map. So the location is approximate. You know exactly where Soleil is. Bourges is kind of over in this general area.
Fair.
There's no, we don't have like, take this road to get the Bourges.
We could stop in and maybe ask the townsfolk and
Yeah, Lark, you put on your charm. Talk somebody into telling us where Bourges is.
Oh, I do love getting people to spill secrets, and if that's the reaction, I mean, the Alcide, they're a little known back home of fleeing from powerful fae, so of course they fled from me. But
Naturally.
naturally, darling, it's a survival instinct.
Right.
yeah.
Well, hopefully the humans or lizard folk. I don't know what kind of people live in Calibur.
Mostly humans, of course, but also there is a very large population of elves that live in Calibun. There is quite a large sort of swampland in the south of Calibun, and that's where most of the lizard folk come from, that sort of area. Not as many dragonborns as in Gothia for some reason, but it's mostly elves, humans, and halflings and gnomes. Dwarves are also kind of rare in Calibun. They do exist in Calibun, but most of them seem to be either foreign transplants or the rare local. So that's kind of the and of course, all of the other races in between, since travel exists and, people sometimes plant themselves in other places. But it's mostly humans and elves.
Let's hope the normal people in
Apparently, colorblind pixies as well. She told me I was a beautiful shade of purple. I'm not purple, am I?
Is Lark orange? Is that...
Lark's wings are monarch butterfly wings.
I thought. I was like, okay, cool.
Unless they've been slowly turning purple without any of us noticing.
You might want to check. I don't know. Like,
well, hopefully the normal people in town won't run away immediately when you ask for Bourges. So let's You're there.
Oh, don't worry. I've got my tricks to stop people from running if I have to.
Oh, good. Let's try to not get arrested and get this done.
So
So
as you continue along the road, you find a fork in the road. A signpost with various signs pointing to various different places, including the town of Soleil. And beside it, standing in the field, is a scarecrow with a beautiful smiling pumpkin head sitting on it. And as you approach, you watch as the head of the scarecrow actually turns and looks directly at you. And one of its hands actually waves at you. Hello there.
Uh,
Are you lost? How can I help you?
wait, that's a scarecrow, right?
is
Like
it talking?
those?
Is it speaking in common?
Yes.
Lark's gonna drift over to it and he goes, "Oh, why, thank you. We seem to be just a hair lost. You can call me Lark. These are my traveling compatriots. That's Arthur and that's Percy, and the quiet dragon in the back, that's Rerek, and the cat is the cat, Jasmine. What can I call you?
I don't think I have a name. I was just put out here.
But it's
Who
alive.
put you?
Ask me why it's alive.
And what you were put here by who? By what? How are you? How are you?
Oh, the farmers. To keep the birds out of the field.
Wonderful.
Did the
How long have you
farmers
been
make
here?
you alive on purpose?
I don't know. I just woke up.
Do the farmers know that you're alive?
I think so. They talk to me, and I talk back.
Well, and this is working for you. You're like happy with your whole situation?
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Now, you don't have a name. Would you like? We could give you a name. Would you like a name?
Sure.
What's? Oh, what should we name him? What should we name?
Jeremy.
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 How do you like Jeremy?
I'll take it.
Jeremy, it is. Now, Jeremy, darling, do you know your way around these parts much, or could you really? I feel almost a certain way about things. The last time I brought it up, the poor lad was so scared he ran off into a field. I almost hesitate to ask.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Have you? Now I understand that we're coming on so late, but my friends and I heard that there was another village nearby. Have you heard anything about it?
No, not really.
Not a village that starts with the letter B?
No.
Can I insight check him?
Yes, you may.
It is a scarecrow. So
Insight check the scarecrow.
21.
I mean, he sounds pretty truthful. As truthful as a pumpkin on a stick can sound.
right.
Could you at
It's just
least?
a emotionless pumpkin on a stick.
I mean, if he's alive, he has to have some emotions at this point. Now, Jeremy, darling, could you tell us who's in charge of the area of Soleil? Do you have any information?
Not really. Well, I'm kind of a bit clueless about anything. My only job is to scare the birds. I know where the tavern is, and that's about it.
Where's the tavern?
And you hear the creaking of wood as he twists and points down the road. Right there, you'll find the sun and sheep.
Wonderful. Thank you for your assistance. Lark's just gonna pat him on the pumpkin head before flying back and just being like under his breath, muttering in Sylvan, useless constructs.
I mean, he pointed us to booze, so he's not entirely useless.
No, wait, when did you start speaking Sylvan, Arthur?
Well, I mean,
It was in common.
that looks like a tavern.
Okay.
Saved. Haha.
He did
Yeah.
loudly point to the tavern and say, "There's the tavern. It's called the Sun and Sheep."
Yeah.
In common.
Oh no, I was saying that Arthur heard Lark
Oh.
call him useless.
Oh, I didn't
No.
realize you were still doing that in Sylvan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yay, booze. I don't know. That was the point. Like,
I mean, I suppose we might as well go to the tavern and see if we can find any more information out.
I hope it's
This whole
Yeah,
vibe reeks of Sealy stuff, though.
It very much does. It's very weird. So yeah, you continue along the road, pulling up to the Sun and Sheep. The sign has gold leaf on it. That is just how pretty it is. Bright, beautiful colors. It has sort of ribbons and bunting hanging on it. It's just absolutely and utterly quaint in every way, shape, and form. It has little flowers in a flower box underneath each of the windows that are in full bloom and actually have colors. It's just a quaint little place.
All right. Well, should we hitch up the horses and head inside and see what we can find out?
Sounds good, I guess.
I don't think we have a better plan than that for now.
Oh, I can't whistle right now. My lips are so dry. I'm trying to summon Talina.
Oh, yeah. It does take a bit of whistling, but finally Talina appears. You had to kind of like cast the equivalent of Fine Steed.
Fair.
And then she pops into existence. Hi!
Hey, telepathic horse friend. I just figured maybe you might be helpful. We're gonna do some inquiring. If you could just keep an eye.
Yay!
I hope I can bring a very
Horse into the bar.
And we return to please speak directly into the horse.
God damn it. I mean, yeah, pretty much though. Is kind of what I'm getting at. So, yep. I mean, I'm with the horse, just
walking into the bar with the horse. Talina does have to duck, because the door is slightly shorter than you're expecting.
Yeah.
And the horse does duck into the bar. And running up is an elven woman, just kind of waving her hands and just going, "No, no, no, no! We cannot have the horse in the bar. I'm sorry. You must put her in the stables."
I promise it's okay. She's perfectly friendly.
She's not lying.
I'll pay for her ale. She thanks
Does
Talina.
the horse loudly say that she isn't lying?
Yes. She does
amazing.
not understand the concept of subtlety. She is just very excited to be helpful.
Damn it. Okay,
I see
fine.
no flaws with this plan, Arthur.
Fine. I'll go take Talina to the thing. Damn it.
Lark's gonna sidle up to the elven woman and be like, apologies on behalf of that one.
Don't apologize for me.
I think he's a little touched in the head, you know?
I will not make any assumptions about your friends.
I mean, friends is a strong word, darling. Apologies. Manners appear to have slipped my mind briefly. I'm called Lark, and this is Percy, and you are?
My name is Francine. I run the Sun and Sheep.
Oh, Francine, how darling. Would you happen to be able to, I don't know, he'll probably want a beer, won't he, Percy?
Um, sure. Yeah, I'd love a drink.
And Rerek in the back, just because he hasn't spoken in a while, is just like, I'll just have milk or water or something. Fair
Do you
enough.
have a head of iceberg lettuce? Like that seems like a Rerek request to make, like, or a pear. Like, you know? So Arthur is gonna, I guess, walk back in, but with Jasmine this time.
Gotcha.
Not a horse. She's only eight. Is this one smaller? Is it okay?
Yes.
She okay. She's my can okay.
Right. Well, we
Thank you.
have plenty of wines, and we also have various spirits, if you'd like that.
A cask of your house is fine. I mean, a glass of your house is fine.
All right. And she takes out a glass and pours some kind of, maybe a sherry, into a glass and sets it. For the rest of you, I know you, she points at Rerek, want the water, the milk. We do have goat's milk. I'll get that.
Bone broth for the furry
Hmm?
one. A bone broth or some such for the furry one.
Oh, I don't think I have a bone broth.
Anything? Chicken scraps, liver.
I think we have some liver.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And she calls to the chef, and they bring out a little platter of liver.
Sweet.
You all are able to get the alcohol that you would like, if it is alcohol that you want. It is also served with a lovely salad, with a lovely vinaigrette and a lovely, soft, pillowy slice of rosemary sea salt bread.
Oh,
It is very good.
oh.
Lark's just got, he's just gonna like, can I have some flowers, maybe? They're so wonderful.
Sure. I think there's some wildflowers growing out back that we can pick for you.
You didn't see the dandelions in the salad?
I mean, they're okay, but
Not pretty enough.
exactly.
Ah, I see.
She does come back with a modest but wonderful little bouquet of wildflowers, ones that you've been seeing growing along the roads and in various places. They're kind of a marigold color with streaks of sort of a deep orange in them.
Lark's just popping one in his mouth and being like, not bad, not bad. I mean,
Doesn't
better than anything from Gothia. Short of those dried butterflies, those were good.
yeah, your taste in snacks is just so odd.
No, oh God, what was her name again? It already slipped my mind.
Francine.
Francine. Now, Francine, darling, sit with us for a moment. We're new in town, and if we could just pick your brain for a moment.
All right, I've got a little time, and she sits down, kind of adjusting her skirts as she kind of leans over the bar.
I couldn't help but notice a lot of my kith and kinfolk while we were traveling in here. Is that common for all of Calibun or this part of Calibun?
Relatively, yes.
No, which one is it, darling? This part or the entire country?
The entire country.
Oh, wonderful.
I mean, there's all kinds everywhere. And she reaches up and just absent-mindedly pulls back one of the cabinet doors, and sleeping inside is a fairy dragon. It is a little miniature dragon with butterfly wings that is glowing iridescent colors before she just shuts the door. He likes to sleep in that cabinet, and he takes naps quite a lot.
Was that a dragon?
A fairy dragon.
Okay.
His name is Flitterwit.
Of course it is.
Wonderful.
Can you tell us how to get to
Oh, Arthur.
say it, should I say it?
No, no. Darling, me. Apologies, Francine. He's being a little quick to the draw, a little blunt. We're new, obviously. We actually traveled down from Gothia, if you could even believe it.
I can tell.
Hey, I mean, carry on.
We're doing a little bit of sightseeing on account of my friend. Lark's almost puts in parentheses. Percy here, darling Percy. He's quite interested in viewing all sorts of. If you can't tell by the wardrobe, he's one of those. What do you call them? Clerics, holy men.
Yes, clerics.
Yes, he's been just dying to see some old, old
Oh,
cathedral that was around here at some point.
Oh,
Yes, but I'm worried to bring it up because when we asked that sweet boy in the field, he just ran off, so I fear it may have a bad reputation.
interesting.
now can you say something?
Now, we mean no offense by asking about it, and not to alarm you, for I fear it does have a bit of a reputation. Have you Is there a village nearby that had an ancient cathedral?
Yes.
That may or may not have a very bad reputation?
Yes.
Is the reaction, if we were to say it out loud, would we get the same reaction as the boy gave us from the rest of the townsfolk?
I wouldn't run, but I certainly would flat out refuse to give you any information on it. It is not a place that anyone should step foot in anymore.
But see, we
That's the brilliant part, Francine. We're not stepping foot in it. We just need to see it to go somewhere else.
what?
Even so, it is too dangerous.
Francine, I'm gonna try to persuade her.
All right.
I'm gonna just be like, darling, we came from Gothia because we are not without our tricks. I don't think it will be too dangerous for us. Um okay, so that's a 14 before my modifiers, which will make it
Of about
a
8
what'll it be?
billion.
I'll give him the help
It'll be
action.
a 20. Oh, help action?
Yep.
I have two 14s in a row, so that's 24 on a persuasion check.
All right. And she kind of
I'm just kidding.
takes a deep breath so that you'll stop talking about it and scaring the locals. You're going to head up that road. You will be able to see it. You will know.
You have my thanks.
Incredibly helpful, Francine. Thank you very much for the wine.
So, is there anything else that you would like before you hit the road?
Oh, Francine.
Hey.
Darling, darling, darling. Now, to better, brighter, more entertaining things than the spooky parts. I'm just curious, is there... I mean, it almost smells almost vaguely of home to me around these parts based on how many of us there are. What other... I'm just... Are there ways in and out of the Feywild around here?
Perhaps I've heard of Fey crossings here and there.
There's a Fey crossing in Gothia now, too.
I'm not surprised.
We helped put it in place. Do you remember that, boys?
Yeah.
All too well.
I feel like we maybe don't need to be discussing that right now. So,
I'm just curious if there are any higher Fey influences than a few stray all seeds and a colorblind pixie that I ran into.
oh please, and you inquire of a local proprietress of a delightful establishment.
I don't
What?
think I've met anything more powerful than a pixie, but there are certainly quite a few fairies kicking around Calibun. We seem to attract them by the truckload.
Are they all starlight and sunshine and full of joy and pep like Tulip do and those all seed were?
Oh, yes.
Interesting, interesting, interesting.
Ew.
I was just
check on the horses. I think maybe.
in the back of his head. Lark's like, now how do I get her to take? And then he's just looks over at Percy.
Oh, God, love it. Every time.
What? We wanted her to take what?
Oh, nothing, Percy. Like in the back of his head, Lark's like, can I give her a seed? But then Percy's
Oh
sitting
God.
with him.
Yeah.
Lark's just gonna be like, I feel like my family wouldn't. I don't know if they'd like my family here much. Do you?
Who are you talking to?
To you?
Oh, to me. Okay. I thought I wasn't sure if you're still talking to ladies. Oh no, Lark. I think they would hate your family here. For sure.
Shameful. There's so many more parts to the Feywild than just this. Though even this is still a nice spot of home in a strange, far place. So, oh, Francine, I must be confusing you. Yet again, I thank you for the information, and we'll just toddle off now.
She nods and just silently goes back to the kitchen. As you all leave and hit the road once again, trundling along past all kinds of quaint little bridges and cute cottages and fields full of vibrant life, there is one place where it seems a dot on the horizon, growing bigger and bigger as you get closer and closer before you realize it's an entire town cast in shadow. The road runs out at some point. You are literally just going down an empty field. You haven't seen a house for miles. Not a fence, not a house, not a field. It is wildflowers and copses of trees at this point. You are making your own rut through what might have been a road. There are patches here and there of stones that could have been road. It's an entire town blanketed in absolute darkness.
I'm gonna go ahead and yeah. I think.
And that is where we're going to end this week's episode. So join us next week as they finally get to the village of Bourges and figure out what is going on here. So join us next week, and I will see the rest of you in about 5 minutes.